Russia's food theory, okay? Because apparently niggas are eating rocks. Now I don't know rocks is the next hot thing. Like I thought rocks was only meant to be like therapy at best, like the hot rock treatment and shit. Like, but niggas are cooking up rocks. Like it's a delicacy. So like I don't know.
Street food. The rocks are seasoned with chili, garlic, purple perilla, and rosemary. The dish is known as suodayo, meaning suck and throw away. The dish goes for 16 yuan, $2.30.
So I guess you could say we've.
I would hope so. It's fucking rocks.
Ow! Oh, sorry. Okay. I admit I've got a problem with dad jokes. Stop throwing those things. That is perfectly good food you're wasting.
No, nigga,
Hello,
that's not.
Internet.
No, nigga.
Welcome to Food Theory, where today
Niggas
we're
are
stuck
eating
between
rocks.
a rock and a hard place. A recent viral trend coming out of China shows chefs and street vendors cooking up rocks. Yeah, apparently this is a tradition that dates back hundreds of years. Pebbles are collected, cleaned, and then cooked with herbs, spices, and vegetables. Obviously, or hopefully, you're not actually supposed to eat the rocks. You're just supposed to suck on them for the flavor and then throw them away. Then again, I'm not here to tell you what to do.
What?
If you do want to swallow them, well, that's your call. I mean, I've heard of kidney stones before, but this is getting ridiculous.
Oh, niggas are eating rocks for real? Like that's what niggas is doing in their day-to-day life? Would y'all ever eat rocks? Like if a Chinese nigga were to be like, rocks are good and serve you some rocks, are you guys gonna like live your life off some rocks? Eating rocks is crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Dad jokes. You guys are just stone cold. So what prompted
Sitting
the
here
internet to
eating
start
rocks is
gnawing on
crazy.
meats? Well, stir-fried rocks, or more appropriately,
Stir-fried rocks. Stir-fried rocks. This is a delicacy, apparently, for $2. I mean, it is $2. Like, are y'all eating this stir-fried rocks for $2? Like, if it was only $2 and you had to, I ain't gonna lie. I might cave in. I might cave in. I'm not gonna. I might have to get a Rocky special.
Please have Google pronounce this one for me.
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Sordio.
Originated in the Chinese province of
that's
Hubei,
lit.
a province often referred to as the land of fish and rice. Though there's very little written record of this thing, we know the dish was invented by boatmen who took little rocks off the bottom of rivers where they'd collected sediment and natural flavoring from the wildlife in the water. Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about the natural flavors of whatever the heck was lying down at the bottom of the river. Over time, these river stones just naturally developed a fishy taste that was then enhanced when you fried the rocks at a high heat. Smother them all in sauce, garlic, ginger, veggies, and fats to absorb the rock's flavor. Then you suck on each one to get that aromatic seafoody taste. TikTok lately has been on fire about these things, and for a number of reasons that you can probably guess. The first obvious one being that it's not every day that you see street vendors pancake flipping pebbles for the tourists. I've actually been to the street markets of Beijing and Shanghai, but this would seriously stand out among the crowd. Besides just being unusual though, the bigger question on people's minds with stir-fried rocks is why? Why is this a trend at all? Is this real?
Is it like eating seeds? Like you suck on the rock and spit it out, like, and then everything else is like, cause like if you take a spoon, like it's kind of hard to suck on the rocks and eat that shit at the same time if you're eating multiple at the time, like.
Are people being serious about this? And if so, could this food trend actually have itself any sort of staying power? Well, the answer to all these questions is a resounding yes. And not only could stir-fried rocks be around for a long time, you might just be looking at the next high-end, exquisite food craze that's about to sweep the globe.
I hope not.
Yeah, sweep the globe sounds like it's a bold claim from some guy on the internet and some rocks frying in a pan. I get that. You might even be saying, Matt Pat, that's impossible. Do you even know where this dish comes from? And yeah, I do. What a great segue to give you a little bit more exposition. As you might imagine, stir-fried rocks not really at the top of everyone's menu. Unsurprisingly, they were originally only consumed by fishermen in the Hubei region when there was literally no other food options available, which makes a lot of sense. Only start eating rocks as your absolute last resort. This also happened in a pre-industrialized era, and when motorboats eventually came to Hubei, it quickly reduced the chances of boatmen being stranded without supplies, at which point the dish just largely faded to obscurity. As far as the modern revival of stir-fried rocks goes, reactions to this thing online have been varied. From all the lulls about getting your rocks off,
This is ridiculous.
No thanks.
I don't know. But this is
But like, are they
People have
sucking on the rocks or are they
reactions
actually
to
eating them
TikTokers
hoes?
exploiting this dish for clout, since it was actually a dark part of China's history with famines. Now, I'm not here to theorize about the dish from any kind of local perspective. We're just here to talk about what makes it unique and what makes it the latest in a long line of popular food trends. You see, it turns out that this dish could be an incredibly interesting food to watch over time now that it's re-entered public awareness, specifically because of its history as a famine food. Yeah, that is a real food category. It includes dishes that have originated in countries all across the globe in moments of extreme hunger or food shortage. And while it sounds weird, hang with me, because these are some of the most ingenious, creative foods on the face of the earth. They also happen to be some of the most expensive. Just to be clear here, I don't mean survival foods like the cans of creamed corn stored down in your mom's garage, or those 200 gallons of potable water that your Uncle Steve keeps in his nuclear bunker. These are foods that people have made or foraged for when they've been stuck for long periods of time in really inhospitable places all across the world. The thing about these foods is that weirdly, many of them won't sound like famine foods when I start listing them off. A lot of them will seem just like regular food that you've seen on menus pretty frequently across the US. For instance, you can probably guess that Irish people had to forage to stay alive during the Irish potato famine in the 1800s, but you might be surprised by one of the major famine foods that they discovered through this process: seaweed. Nowadays, you'd never bat an eye at seeing seaweed show up at a high-end menu.
Do y'all eat seaweed? I don't eat seaweed. That shit is disgusting.
In the US, but at the beginning of the 1800s, Europeans had no context that this could be used as food. Another example, during the last humanitarian crisis in Cambodia, Cambodians ate scorpions and tarantulas to survive.
That is disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. Thank you for the follow, user block.
Because they sometimes had nothing else to eat.
That is disgusting. I'm not gonna lie.
In fact, you might have
niggas out here eating scorpions and tarantula. I swear I can say the name, chat. I swear I can. I swear I can. Okay. They're eating scorpions and Don't get on me. Tarantulas. Is that how you say it? Tarantulas. Okay. They're in here eating scorpions and tarantulas, and they just think it's casual. I'll be down.
For years on
never, because you couldn't pay me $1 million to do that shit. I promise you couldn't.
Delicacy in all of Southeast Asia, and are widely available at the local street markets, the same type of street markets where we see stir-fried rocks. Think the U.S. is exempt from all this? Think again. The indigenous Algonquins from the region that's now the U.S. Northeast were known for eating what? Pine tree bark in the winter when they ran out of food. Nowadays, restaurants in that region offer spruce tips in their expensive dishes. Spoiler alert.
What the fuck are spruce tips? What the fuck are... So you're telling me rocks is just gonna be a hot delicacy? Niggas gonna be like, yeah, give me them rocks on the board. Let me suck on them rocks. Like, what the fuck? Never in my day of my life will you ever hear me be like, let me suck on some rocks, nigga.
It still lives on.
Never.
It's expensive. And you'd probably think nothing of seeing cactus fries or mushroom burgers on a menu in the US, but cactus and mushroom, again, were originally consumed only as a desperate last resort and weren't originally considered to be food. And this, friends, is just the tip of the iceberg. Nowadays, a massive number of expensive food was all once food for the poorest members of society. Lobster, once considered to be the cockroach of the sea, these things now go for hundreds of dollars around the world.
Why would you say that? I don't eat lobster. Thank God. But why would you say that?
Oysters, literally the snot rocks of the ocean, now perched on top of golden seafood platters.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I'll fuck with some mussels. Do y'all fuck with mussels? I don't eat oysters, but I feel like oysters and mussels are the same thing. I'll fuck with some mussels. Don't get it twisted. Like, I'll ride for the mussels. Pause. Like,
showered with money. So what?
Y'all can't tell me shit.
Here? How did these foods go from, well, I'll eat them because I have literally nothing else to eat, to a national treasure that costs
because
hundreds
niggas just be like desperate. I'm not gonna lie.
Of thought for this, and let me be clear, this isn't some sort of new revelation. Economists and food scientists alike have studied this phenomenon for decades. They have a few theories, food theories of their own on why the shift happened. The first is a nutritional cause. Sometimes desperate measures get people to put things in their mouths that they wouldn't normally, and in the process they accidentally discover something that's really good for you. Way to go, you.
Okay, but are they discovering that it's really good for you? Like, is it I mean, protein wise, I guess, but like is it really? It's just good because you starving, yeah, but like, I just don't. Am I just chatting? Like, I just don't think it's like a hot. I don't think it deserves to be a hot delicacy after that. Like, I just don't think it's struggle menu. Like, you ever heard of struggle menu? I feel like stay there. It's a famine food for a reason. Like, shit don't need to be top notch delicacy.
Humanity, look at us, blind squirrels just accidentally finding a bunch of nuts. So, while you and my 5-year-old might not believe that mushrooms should be food, the fact is they're high in vitamin D and the B vitamins, and that might be hard to get from other sources depending on...
Oh, so like it is actually like, okay. My bad. Get on cash ass. My bad, nigga.
Where
Damn.
you live. Same goes with things like cactus, which is full of fiber and vitamin C. Insects, which are full of protein. Seaweed, which is easy to get,
I told you
cheap,
protein,
and a
but I
solid
could
source
choose
of
other different protein
antioxidants. But there's
sources.
another big factor at play here. The other phenomenon that's elevating all these famine foods appears to be something that's been roughly termed the cost of authenticity. In recent decades, food has gotten much faster. It's gotten much more convenient. It's also gotten a whole lot more blurry when it comes to what's considered authentic. Since the rise of fast food and a whole lot of who asked for this fusion dishes, it's felt harder and harder to get real food from the real places that they originate. In a lot of areas of the world where famine foods came from, the dishes were invented because people had barely anything to eat. But they did have another resource available to them: time. They had enough time to forage. They had the time to hunt for that one obscure thing in their environment that they could eat. They had the time that was necessary to get every last molecule of nutrition out of that ingredient. A great example of this is bouillabaisse from France, which started as a poverty broth made from fish scraps. Fishermen would literally take the fish scraps and guts that were left over at the end of the day and make it into a soup by boiling it for just a heck of a long time to get the most flavor and nutrition out of it. Today, bouillabaisse has evolved into a major delicacy. It can run you $75 at a real authentic French restaurant. The reason is because while now we have more money to spend on food and more ability to obtain food, we don't have the time to spend cooking dishes like this for ourselves. The only way to get a real bouillabaisse is to cook it for hours and hours. But in today's modern global society, we are time poor. So instead of being food poor, we're now entering a type of poverty where we're too busy to make the food that's considered real and authentic. Other familiar examples for you might be Vietnamese pho, another dish that can take over 10 hours to make. Zuppa de pêche from Italy, paella in Spain, ramen broth in Japan, and even bread made from scratch, which we all found out the hard way back in 2020. Any of you still making bread at home now that it's post-pandemic? Almost no one is, because now that we leave the house, we're too time poor to prioritize.
Let me get that Zuppa de Pêche, because it's better than the rest. I heard that Zuppa de Pêche is the best in the West. Zuppa de Pêche, with that Zuppa de Pêche on the Zuppa de Pêche's pêche. Zuppa de Pêche. Pêche of the Zuppa de Pêche.
Is doing that sort of stuff for ourselves. But I hear you saying, Matt, Pat, you dummy, stir-fried rocks can't become a delicacy. First of all, they're not good for you. They are rocks, so that doesn't meet criteria 1 of our list here. We didn't find something that was miraculously nutritious for us. We just made rocks taste like food before we spit them out again. And yeah, that is true. I hear you on that. So what about criteria 2 and the time cost? Well, it might be true that gathering rocks from a riverbed is a time-intensive process. Stir-fried rocks, probably not one of those dishes that requires you to slave over a broth all day. Just pop in the old rocks into the fryer and add a bunch of seasoning. So stir-fried rocks cannot be one of those foods that catches on because it doesn't fit either of those 2 criteria, right? Wrong. What if I told you that stir-fried rocks can go global even though they're not good for you or time-intensive? And what if I told you that this isn't the first time that we've seen it happen? Let me introduce you to a little Italian dish called pasta ai sassi, a famine dish from the southwest coast of Italy. The name pasta ai sassi means pasta with sea stones, and if you think they're talking about real stones, well yeah, you'd be right. In times of fish shortages, or when rough sea conditions in the Mediterranean made it impossible to leave the shore, locals would add rocks from the sea to their pans, alongside other ingredients and oil to seep all the flavor out of the rocks so you got the semblance of seafood flavor. Over in Italy, they chose to remove the rocks before serving, so they really missed the quality rock sucking that could have been done there. Oh man, that's one of those quotes. That was rock sucking. Rock sucking. Great choice there, Matt. Anyway, just like the stir-fried rocks, the Italian version of the dish also faded from memory once motorized travel became a thing. And much like our Chinese counterpart, it didn't stay away forever. It made a comeback and is now served in the region again, but with one small substitution. The recipe still calls for rocks, except now those rocks are actually mollusks, like clams and mussels. With this one evolution from hard thing in my pasta to other hard thing in my pasta, the dish manages to get the same sea flavor. Even as someone who likes shellfish, it's pretty easy to agree that clams and mussels, they're just little mouthfuls of seawater anyway, so the dish becomes more edible while retaining the original spirit. And just like most seafood dishes, it's gonna cost you a pretty penny, a far cry from the famine food that it began as. And this is where I think stir-fried rocks are destined to find their legacy. Clearly, the dish is onto something because people are literally willing to lick rocks and then spit them out just to have a taste of the seasoning and the flavor around it. It seems reasonable then that the local recipe would eventually evolve to include something else in the local cuisine that provides a similar flavor profile and maintains the integrity and meaning of the food, but doesn't involve people actually sifting through mountains of river rocks anymore. Only time will tell, but don't be surprised if in a few years, stir-fried rocks lands on a menu near you and it costs way more than all of us can afford.
That is true.
Hey, when it feels like all you can do is cook up a bunch of rocks, and not the good kind, that's when today's sponsor, HelloFresh, comes in to save the day.
I'm
No
worth it.
longer
Don't
do you
get
have
no
to worry about running
HelloFresh,
out of
niggas.
supply.
It's not worth your money.
Complete chaos. I'll be on chopping duty. Steph will handle the pans. It gives us some much needed time to catch up. No need for delivery. No need to scour the riverbeds.
I'm telling you, fuck the HelloFresh. Fuck the HelloFresh. You don't need it. I work there. I promise y'all. But that's crazy to think that now that how food, like famine foods have started, and some famine foods I feel like should just stay famine foods. I'm not gonna lie. But that'll be a video. Again, if you guys haven't already, check out the channel at kick.com/Kashuhmill, where we do gaming videos and other things that you don't see on this channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.